I am K.K. Divakar. I am professor and head of the Department of Neonatology at the Malankara Orthodox Syrian Church Medical College at Kolancheri in Kochi, and I'm also the Associate Dean of the Institute. I have been there since 2003, and before that I was a professor and head of neonatology at Kasura Medical College, Manipal at Udupi. Indian healthcare is a very broad-based topic, and I presume that when one is talking of Indian healthcare system, we are talking of only Indian healthcare in the current scenario. Because we did have a very rich heritage of Ayurvedic traditions, etc., that were there in our country. Unfortunately, a lot of this information was lost to this country at the inappropriate time of interpretation of Ayurvedic literature in the correct formats. Probably, like I will say, the Macaulay's theory of saying that if you don't know English, you're illiterate. And similarly, we lost a lot of information. So we did lose out on a lot of traditional information, and we had to turn away into allopathic systems, which brought us into a little bit of lag for a reasonable amount of time. As of today, I feel there is a very bright scene for Indian healthcare. We had a lot of downs, and we had a lot of nadirs in our healthcare outcome. Things are gradually improved, and I will definitely not call myself a cynic. Our infant mortality has distinctly come down, and we also know that life expectancy has gone up tremendously. All this reflects on a healthcare system, and I would like to make it very clear that by healthcare system, I don't mean that therapeutics or hospitals, but the overall preventive, hygienic aspects, the public health benefits, all this has done. I will have my doubt if one were to ask me a corollary, has it occurred fast enough? Have these changes occurred fast enough? Then I will not have any hesitation saying no, we could have achieved these things a bit faster. But I guess when you want to change or turn around a large oil tanker, it takes time. But I feel a very bright future is there, and we will soon have a very good health indices of which the rest of the world will be quite jealous about. And I come from Kerala, and Kerala, as it is, we know that has the lowest infant mortality rate. We have a neonatal mortality of about 6 per thousand, and infant mortality hovering between 10 and 9. In fact, some statistics have shown that Kerala has got single-digit infant mortality, which is perhaps even better than some of the states of the United States of America. Why did we achieve that is what a question which people ask. Obviously, the medical fraternity, the doctors, healthcare have contributed a lot. But over and above that, the female literacy rate which was there in Kerala contributed significantly, because the mother was always literate, the female empowerment was there. The rulers of Kerala, right from the Travancore Maharaja and the Cochin Maharajas and the kings of Malabar, they all ensured that there is a lot of health benefits going on for the public. And this has paid its rich dividends. So when India became a single entity as India after our independence, this rich fruits of what these Maharajas did were also reaped by the people of Kerala. Added on that, we realized that there have been a lot of education, a lot of land reforms have taken place, and a very educated society in which people seek out health issues before it becomes critical. So yes, Kerala does have a slight problem of, if I may say, people rushing to a doctor at the smallest problem. But well, I guess if the long-term result is that the person survives and the net outcome is better, that is better than not seeking medical help until it is too late. So Kerala health system is there. Being a neonatologist, I would like people to see that, people should come into Kerala and see what the newborn care is, because certain facts have to be realized. For example, a baby's weight in Kerala is an average of a 3 kg weight. We'll say it's a normal weight for a baby, whereas there are certain regions in India where 3 kg will be taken as a very large baby. In Kerala, if a baby is about 2 kgs, we'll be worried. Whereas there are certain regions where a 2 kg weight will be taken as, okay, it's quite reasonably acceptable weight. So there is a demographic changes in so much and so many differences as far as newborn health is concerned. I think there should be a lot more interaction, and personally I feel the health system in India and the training system should be designed in such a way that the medical student is able to see different regions of the country before they are finally eligible to appear for an examination. Because a person, say, who has done all his education in, say, northern India may not know many of the conditions what is existing, social, economic as well as medical, in the southern part of the country, and vice versa. A person who's studied only in southern India may have no idea what is happening on the east, west or the north. So unfortunately, our medical health education planners may give little bit more weightage. For example, if a candidate can have a liaison with another medical school and different part of the region, and you have externship postings that is there in places like the United States, where the person is going during his educational time, he has to go and see in other places by choice and come back and educate himself, because I feel merely passing an examination is not education. And education is knowing the overall picture of the health system in the country. And being in Kerala, I feel that there is a lot that Kerala can offer for anybody who is welcome to see how our system is working. What happens in the Western countries, even at an undergraduate level or a postgraduate level, they can act as an optional posting of externship. So many people come from the US and UK and work in countries like India or Africa for the 6 months externship posting to know what are situations in health which they will never be seeing in their life. It not only helps them to learn about how to treat, but it widens their perspective as a human being, which is very important in a profession like medicine, where it is mainly a humanitarian profession rather than just passing an examination. So as far as I think, if supposing somebody is doing an MD program or an MS program, if somebody is in far off regions, it is officially permitted for them, or it makes it mandatory that they should have an attachment in another different hospital. At least they will see. And it is not just a medical thing they are going to see, they are going to see the country, they are going to see the eating habits of the people, they are learning something about the language, the culture, and an overall integration of the human being happens, which in social science like medicine, I think it is most important to know the human being behind the disease rather than disease inside the human being. Health insurance and insurance companies are a very major thing which is so-called facilitating the healthcare in this country, and many people are very grateful for it. But I am a little cautious about it, because one should understand that insurance companies are not philanthropic organizations. They will not be indulging in things in which the net profit is not going to be there. If over dependence on insurance companies come up, I don't think it will be very far before the insurance companies tell various hospitals that you will be permitted to admit a patient, but they will start restricting the number of investigations that you can do, and very often tying the doctor's hands in such a way that even for essential investigations they may not be able to do. For example, supposing somebody was to tell me, okay, you can admit a patient in our hospital, but if you want to do an MR scan, then you have to get a prior permission of somebody, so on and so forth. So you suddenly admit a patient who is, say, coming with a sort of fever, and next moment the person has got a fit. And then you know, okay, something has gone wrong, you know whether there's a bleeding in the head, you want to do an MR or a CT, but your insurance company does not permit you to do it, and the patient doesn't have the money to do the scan. Where do we land up in? So there may not be, it may not be very far off before medical treatments will start getting dictated by the insurance companies. And I personally feel that medical practitioners and consultants in the field should get together and decide how we can preempt these reactions from companies, and how we can ensure that the health care does not become subservient to any insurance company or anybody other than the doctor. See, the doctor-patient relationship over the years has been good, and there is individual doctors, individual patients, there are always a lot of stories about affection, care, recognizing and all those things. But if I were to talk to my very senior professors who used to teach me, they always tell me that nowadays every person is looking at a doctor as a business commodity. The patient is a customer and the doctor is a service provider. Now, that was never the relationship. In the past, when we were all small, the doctor, I still remember our general physician who used to come to take care of me when I was in Delhi in Bengali market. He was Dr. Uncle, and we used to tell him stories, and he used to come and examine us and tell us what is wrong. And even when very serious matters were there, my father used to ask the Dr. Saab, should I take him elsewhere? And Dr. Saab, acha, you show him to this particular hospital. But now it is not like that. The patient decides which hospital you have got to do. Doctors are actually being pushed by various, you can even go to web portal and they will tell you which doctor you should go to. And there's a big marketing thing going on. So obviously when you have market forces, industry, etc. coming into the health profession, things go wrong. And personally, I feel the biggest mistake anybody has made is call health industry. You can never call health a health industry, because in industry the customer should have the choice of the product he is buying or going to get. For example, if you want to buy a laptop, you can go for a Lenovo or you can go for a Dell, you got a choice. But the patient does not have the choice between whether he should have a fracture of his right leg or he should have a heart attack which is involving his right coronary. So unless a patient has got a choice, we should not call it the health industry. So obviously the changes of health care becoming a health industry has also percolated down to a little bit in the relationship between the patient and the doctor, where both are no longer perceived as well-wishers of each other, but a service provider and the recipient of the service. So demands are also heavy. There could be some difference of opinion which may creep up. So I guess the warmth has come down a little bit. Trust might have come down a little bit, but I think nothing which is not bridgeable, because a patient is a patient and they still look at a doctor as a friend. Thank God for that, and I hope the situation doesn't become worse. I really don't understand what we mean by preventive healthcare. Preventive healthcare is obviously your essentials about clean water, taking care of things and all. If you are meaning preventive healthcare in non-investigative healthcare, for example, if somebody is coming with a small headache, and I would rather tell him to take some rest, see whether get his eyes checked, and give him some small tablet to reduce his headache. If that is the aspect of preventive healthcare you're saying, yes, in larger and corporate setup, this has definitely come down. And personally, I feel that is because of a very litigation conscious society which has come up. For example, there may be somebody who's come with a headache, and maybe in 1 in 10,000 cases or 1 in 20,000 cases, that headache may be a small tumor, and one may miss it. And with the very litigation conscious society, you are exposing yourself to that sort of litigation. So most people, will you come with a headache and you have some vague symptoms, many doctors may not be averse to saying, why don't you take a CT scan? More because they feel, look, tomorrow you should not be held to blame for having missed a very major disease, rather than presuming that this was a very minor thing and which could be treated. There again, it may be coming back to your old question of trust deficit, which could be leading to a small element. But I think these are all things which communications can handle, and if doctors and patients communicate with each other, these issues can be done, and these aspects can definitely be handled without too much of a problem. I look at it in a very positive way, because for once governments have started realizing that healthcare is important. And governments have started feeling that whatever achievements or the laurels in healthcare which people are claiming are not restricted to only private or corporate organizations. And government organizations have also become extremely good. They are contributing to development of this, and which is the most positive step. Because I don't think that within the next 10 years, I feel we will revert back to a situation where good government hospitals will be where people will first prefer to go, rather than suddenly seeking out. Because jokingly, I always tell people, why should the patient pay for a fountain inside the lobby? The patient should pay for the health care being given. And I think government hospitals are going to come up in a very good way, and we have got very health conscious health ministers, if I may say, in most of the states, and they really do want to do good things. And they are aware, they are discussing with the stakeholders, they are discussing the doctors, and I feel there's a very, very positive picture. And we should not be so cynical in saying our health system will go down. And a very strong government and quasi-governmental organization participate in healthcare is a very good message to say that India, we are going to reach there, where people will be, without hesitation, they will not mind to walk into a government hospital, irrespective of their socio-economic strata. I don't know about PPP model, because when we say public-private partnership, who is the private partnership? And what is the percentage going into it? Is a private partnership going through philanthropy, or is a private partnership going to making some money out of the product? I do not think health is a saleable commodity, just like life is a saleable commodity. And when there is no saleable commodity, I do not know how much can be the private equity which can go into it, because as we all know, a private component is obviously for it. Now here is the dilemma. Investigations and technology has advanced to such an extent. It is available, but the equipment for this investigation technology is exorbitantly expensive. How do we bridge this gap? That is where the various medical colleges and medical schools came in. So the expensive technology, if it is being used too much, obviously somebody has to pay for it. And this bridging this gap of us using the very rapidly advancing scientific knowledge in the health field for larger and larger number of people is going to be the greatest challenge the health sector is going to have in the future. Because if you want to have, average person does not even know the difference between a zero point 0.5 Tesla MRI and a 3.5 or a 4 Tesla MRI, and both MRI machines cost exorbitantly different. But you are told in one place I get an MRI which is done for 5,000 rupees, another place is 10,000 rupees. How does it work? The average person doesn't know it. So the integration between the scientific development of the health field and attributing that to healthcare, how to balance it is going to be a financial wonder. And I think that is where maximum amount of energy has to be spent to know how advanced investigative techniques are used optimally to ensure that the average person does not have to pay too much for it being utilized for their own well-being. The word is optimal and not universal. And if you don't have it universal, the cost won't come down. And if you use it optimally, the cost will be exorbitant. So how is this private public partnership going to bridge this gap is, I think, going to be the greatest challenge in the coming future.